Okay, so today I'll be showing how to make custom buttons and menus in Google Sheets through HTML elements and app scripts. We'll be doing a very simple example of this fruit and colors where the user will be able to automatically input, say, a fruit, banana, and then a color yellow. This will be done through a menu, which we'll make, and then you'll use HTML elements to make your own custom buttons. So I guess we'll start. We'll go extensions and then app scripts. App scripts is where we're allowed to do a bit of code to interface with our Excel spreadsheet. So we're just going to make a function. We can call it whatever we like. So we're just going to call it show UI box for us. And then we're going to call upon the spreadsheet, get the UI, which is just the bar at the top, and then create a menu. And we will call it fruit settings. And then we want to add an item, so this will just be a small drop down. We'll call it add fruit, and then the next thing is a function, as you can see. So we're just going to put a placeholder function called add fruit, and we'll come back to that. And then we want to add it to the UI. Okay, so we don't cause an error, we're just going to now add that function called add fruit, and we will test the UI first. Okay, so let's save the project, run it, and now you can see we have this UI box where we got a little button called add fruit. So nothing's happened because we haven't put anything in add fruit yet. So now let's add stuff to that. So we're going to make a variable called UI which calls upon the spreadsheet. So get UI, and then we're going to call the HTML through a HTML service. Don't be worried if you miss any of this code. I'll upload to GitHub so you can follow along from that as well. This next string that I'm typing in will be the name of the HTML file, so we'll make that in a sec. Okay, and then this title will be whatever the little module box is called. I'm just going to call it add in fruit menu. And then finally we want to display this modal, so we do UI.show modal dialog, HTML and title. A modal is just a small interface on the screen. You can make a few custom ones with Google Sheets, but this is the main way to do it. So now we have this modal being displayed, we need to make the HTML file. So we're just going to go up here, HTML, and there we go, press enter, and it comes already a bit populated. We're just going to slot in here. We're not going to worry about how pretty it is or anything. We're just going to make a very simple modal. So let's start with a bit of text at the top. So something like, please enter the fruit. And we will cancel that out. So then we want the user to be able to type in a fruit. So we're going to make an input, make it a type text. And let's give it a placeholder. And then it's important to make sure you put an ID on it because we need to get the values out of these modules. So just make sure you put an ID on the end. Okay, and then let's do a little break because we're going to add a few more things. So let's add a new function called please select the color. We'll make a nice label drop down box for this. So let's end the label. And now we want to make the associated drop down box. And it's pretty easy to make a drop down box using select. All these HTML components you can just look up on various websites. Otherwise, there's a large variety. So sorry, I got a bit distracted. We also want to add an ID to this because we want to get the value of this drop down box as well. So we'll just call this ID color. Okay, and now just make sure I finish the declaration of the select. We want to add a few options. So I won't add too many options, but just for reference, I'll add one called blue, and let's end that option. I'm just going to copy and paste this a few times so we've got a few different colors. Red, orange, and let's go green. And let's just change these text options. Okay, so now we have a little placeholder box and we have a drop down. So at the very end of it, I just want the user to be able to actually press add. So we're going to now do a button. So let's go button, type equals button. And we're just going to say add fruit as the final button. So we haven't added actually any functionality to this HTML script yet. It's essentially just going to be a text display. We'll add some functionality later, just going to quickly test it. So if we run this, and now we go to fruit settings, add fruit, take a little bit to load, but you can now see that we have our placeholder box where we can say type in apple, and we can now select the color. So add fruit won't do anything at the moment, but we'll add functionality now. So if we go back to the HTML and we do a onClick event, we can put a function in. So we're going to call this function return color and fruit. And then what we want to do is actually now add some JavaScript. So the way we do that is by doing script, and then you finish it off with script again. Oh, it's a typo. And then we want to make a function. So we want to make that function obviously return color and fruit. And for anyone that's not Australian watching, Australians do use a U in color. So we want to make a variable color, and it's just going to be, we're just going to get that ID that we set before. So we're going to do get element by ID, and it needs to be a capital E, color, and we're just going to get the value of that. And then we're going to copy that and also do it for the fruit name. So let's do that. So if you're wondering what the get element ID does, it just links this ID, which is fruit, to the ID that we put up here. So when the user types something in, it will be that value. Okay, so now this still doesn't really do anything. We need to link it in with the JavaScript code or the Google script code, Google Sheets code. So now we go back to our Google Sheets and we're going to add a new function called, let's call it new fruit and color. And it's going to take in a fruit and color. So we're just going to call the sheet again. So essentially what I'm doing now is when we get the new fruit and color, I'm just going to put it at the very end here. So I'm going to append this column. So let's get our active sheet. And let's get the very last value. So sheet.get, I believe it's the last column. And then we're just going to +1 so we don't change what we currently have. So we're actually appending down one. Okay, anyway, so then we're just going to get the sheet again, get the range. We're going to get that last row, and then we're going to move in one. So this is going to be in the very first column. And then we're going to set the value to the fruit. And then we're going to do it again, but with the color this time. But we're going to be instead 2 columns in now. Set value, color. So the last thing we now need to do is add the link from this Google Sheets code to the HTML code. And the way we do that is by writing google.script.run, and then we put the function name in. So ours was new fruit and color, and then we simply put our color and our fruit in. I think I did, nope, I did fruit and then color. So let me just change those. And then it should work. We will run the code again. Okay, I'm back. I just had to make a few small changes to fix the code up. For starters, I just realized I made a mistake. This should have been get last column. And also there was a typo on the HTML's code. So, but like I said, I'll upload all code to the GitHub. But anyway, here's it in action. So add fruit. Let's go mango, orange, and then we can see to the left, it's added it. So then if we also go apple, red, add fruit. Just a warning that this menu does take a long time to load the very first time you load it. It's very quick after that though. Anyway, so thank you all for watching. Like I said, the code will be on the GitHub. Hope you enjoyed and see you next time.